Howdy, welcome back to Seymour Farms. Today we're going to be taking another farm tour for June and exploring quite a few topics, including rainwater collection, the Three Sisters um, permaculture method, and an update on that, as well as some transplants and irrigation methods to make sure that those transplants survive their first hot summer. Right now it's a beautiful 61 degrees. The last week of spring is upon us. So let's have a look at this rainwater collection system first. I have made some upgrades to the roof. Um, this material was headed for the dump and I rescued it. So, you know, taking a fiberglass corrugated material instead of that old tarp, I hope to get quite a few more years out of this type of arrangement. Also, I had an opportunity to make some of my own lumber in the process. So I'm going to show you one of the beams that I made. It's right underneath here. This beam, I made it myself with a chainsaw and started off with some pine, some fresh cut pine that I dropped last month. And here's another smaller piece of it right here. So this stuff, you can make your own lumber if you don't know how. There's plenty of videos on YouTube explaining how to do that. But a chainsaw is helpful to get that process started. So I will be creating some more of my own lumber as I continue to increase my infrastructure out here and build more going along. Kind of pushing to try to get a barn built within the next year also. So the irrigation system is going to get an upgrade next month with a gutter, and I'll have an update on that instead of showing you just that cheesy 4-inch PVC pipe. So let's talk about Three Sisters. You can see the flourishing is really occurring right here. So this is the type of symbiotic relationship that we want with all of these plants helping each other, sustaining each other. And I'll just walk the row here and show you quite a few of them. But the philosophy behind it is your beans are going to want to climb up the corn, all right? And in turn, the beans fix nitrogen in the soil. Your squash is going to want to spread out across the ground, and that'll become more essential in the hot summertime because the squash spreading across the ground keeps so much moisture from evaporating out of the soil during the hottest part of the day. It just covers the area and makes sure that it's better supported. So got quite a few rows, including a new bean row. Once again, some homemade lumber there to try to create some bean poles. And then also you can see a whole bunch of corn, squash, beans all coming up over there. So things have been growing pretty good. I'm really grateful that all of that stuff took. Let's talk briefly about some transplants. One of the last things I showed you was a black walnut. Well, this little guy did not make it, and I think part of the reason why, let me show you. This guy did not make it. I think part of the reason why is I didn't put enough wood chips in that area. And so after being away from the farm for a couple of weeks, all the irrigation water dried up. That is not uncommon for me. I lose 3 or 4 trees like that every year, but I do plant so many trees that I can afford the loss. Another one we talked about was that apple tree. This is the second apple tree that I just put in, and I tried to explain. It looked pretty rough because of having the leaves blown off of it. Well, as you can see, it came right back, full flourish. It is in really good shape. It's going to turn out just fine. But once again, I did put down a bunch of wood chips, and I went a step further and put some grass clippings on top of it also. So now you can see, not only does it have wood chips underneath there in the soil, it also has grass clippings on it. Guys, I'm going to show you the site where I'm thinking about building the barn. I want to be able to store some tools and some crops long term out here. So here is a site that I think is going to be a good site for the barn. Now, once again, we've got some old blocks right here. These were part of a foundation of a house in town. It's long since been repaired and replaced, and these old blocks are just fine. They're just not going to be used for anything else, so I was able to reclaim those. So as we're going through, and I'm just going to kind of pan around the whole farm here, as we're going through this process, we're learning more and more about what our needs are to keep this entire system sustainable. So looks like I'm going to have about 650 gallons of irrigation water per year available with me with my current system. Looks like I'm going to have about 7 acres of good orchard area. I am pushing the envelope far beyond this main area that's cleared right here. But one of the things that I do is I'm planting as I clear out some of the underbrush. I am leaving stuff that I had planted or has been there for a couple, 3 years, in some cases 4 years. And I'll show you some transplants that I've just left. And now as I'm pushing the perimeter, you can see, hey, now this is going to get plenty of light, water right here. This is what we call a mocker nut, or it's basically a hickory nut that is really similar to walnut. But I'm standing in an area that a year ago was nothing but thick, and I do mean very dense shrubs. So it looked pretty much like that, but now I've cleared it all out, and I have space also to make my own lumber. Like I was talking about earlier, you can easily make your own lumber if you have a chainsaw. And next on the agenda, just irrigation all summer long, and continue to push the perimeter back further and further to make sure I'm making progress towards that 7-acre goal, 7 acres of fruit and nut orchard within the next 5 years. So thanks for tuning in. Like I always say, whatever you grow, enjoy the heck out of it.